Hello and welcome to Blockchain Gaming World with me, John Jordan. So, in the very exciting video I'm going to do now, we're going to look through the terms and conditions for Mythical Games Blanko's Block Party. So, Blanko's Block Party has now entered what they're calling early access. So, previously it was an open beta and now it's in early access. I'm not quite sure from a game development point of view quite how that works out. But anyway, I thought it was interesting. I was very quickly almost clicked through on this that I agree. And then I started looking at it and I kind of thought, well, this is a bit interesting. So I guess you may have looked at some terms and conditions for general games that you've played, but probably not in a lot of detail. I just kind of thought, without going into massive detail, I'm not a lawyer, obviously, by any means. But there were a few interesting things that were highlighted here that may be surprising. And particularly, I think, go to show how blockchain games are different to non-blockchain games. So anyway, so these are the terms and conditions for Blanko's Block Party. So we'll go through the first bit. So Blanko's Block Party is proprietary developed blockchain technology from Mythical. Blanko's Block Party is a proprietary developed blockchain platform, the Mythical blockchain. So this is they're running their own blockchain. It's actually based on the EOS.io SDK. So, but it's their own sort of customized blockchain that they're calling the Mythical blockchain. Based on interactive entertainment software product or application, the app that utilizes specially developed smart contracts. You'll see why this is meaningful later on. To enable users to acquire, own, transfer, and generate unique digital items and visual assets or content. The Mythical blockchain, the smart contracts, and the app are collectively referred to in these Blanko's Block Party games terms and conditions as the game. So the game consists of a blockchain, smart contracts, and the application. So the other kind of interesting thing here is you'll see here, capitalized terms used but not otherwise defined herein have meaning set forth in Mythical Games general terms. So you have a whole bunch of, like, it goes from lowercase into these kind of, you can imagine a lawyer shouting these at you. Please read these terms carefully before using this game. Yeah, kind of funny. It's kind of funny that no one reads terms and conditions, but even if you wanted to, reading all this block stuff would be like, whoa, gives you a headache, whatever. Anyway, so it is interesting that quite a lot of stuff is detailed here in terms of some features of blockchain block party. So so here we have the release and the availability of the characters, the blending and customization. So we see here Mythical, the developer will generate a certain number of original first generation Blankos characters and make them available for purchase at certain points of time. Going to release characters. So the number released and the timing is Mythical's sole discretion. So obviously, they're in charge of that. The game may permit, with or without a transaction fee, the ability to combine or blend your Blanko's own characters, original Blankos, to generate new and unique Blankos characters, blended Blankos, as well as customizing your Blankos characters to build and customize your game environments with game supplied, either through purchase, blah blah, cosmetic items, toys, kits, building blocks, accessories. Okay. So this is quite interesting in terms of the blending stuff. So originally they called it blending. Now, I mean, I think it still is blending, but there's different versions. There's mixing and mashups, which I think we come to a bit further on. Here, blending process. So unless otherwise expressly permitted in the game, once you combine or blend your original Blankos to create a blended Blankos, so this is where you basically take two Blankos and you take the color scheme from one and blend it with another one. You basically lose the original Blanko and you end up with a customized one, although there is the ability to preview this. So to say here, you agree that the game will afford you the ability to preview your blended Blankos before committing to blend your original Blankos, and your decision and acceptance in the game to create a blended Blankos is completely voluntary, and any such blended Blankos may be less unique, valuable, or appealing than the original Blankos in terms of resale. So this is kind of interesting where you start to see with a blockchain product where people actually own things in the game and can actually sell them for real money to other people. That you can start to see, you can imagine lawyers, I can imagine Blankos sitting down with lawyers, or sort of mythical games sitting down with the lawyers and going through this, and the lawyers going, so why is this different to a normal game? And the mythical people going, well, they're actually going to own things in the game, and the lawyer going, oh, why do you want to do that? That's really difficult. And the mythical people saying, well, that's what a blockchain game's about, and the lawyer sort of being crestfallen, or maybe he's very excited because he can charge more fees because it's going to be very complicated to write the terms and conditions. But you can kind of see here, this sort of stuff doesn't happen in most games, where you have the ability to buy an original character that you can then sell, or mash up, change that original character in a way that may actually make it less valuable. And that has to be in terms and conditions, that you have to accept that you may buy a $20 Blankos and you may do a really bad mashup, which actually makes it less valuable because it's aesthetically really unappealing. So again, I'm not going to go through all this because it will take forever. But basically, we're going to. There's some terms and conditions there. Smart contracts. So smart contracts is a bit of code that run on the blockchain that do interesting things. And you have the right to trade your NFT, sell it, or give it away. So this is what blockchains are all about. You now own in-game items, and you can do what you want with them. And the ownership and purchase and sales of the NFT are governed and mediated entirely by the terms of the smart contract associated with such NFTs, initially issued and deployed by Mythical games on the Mythical blockchain. Such smart contracts are kind of they are the law of the blockchain. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on with here about kind of commissions payable and fees and that sort of stuff. Mythical owns the game, so that's obviously the case in all games. But now it's interesting that actually people own some stuff as players. Copyrightable stuff. So obviously there may be copyright. Some of the Blankos may have copyrights associated with them. We're not going to read all that because that is just too much. Termination. Feedback. You may choose to submit comments. Your obligations. You're responsible for your own conduct while playing the game. I guess that's pretty standard. This is an interesting one. I don't think we get this in many games. Okay, so Blankos may be initially required through the game by purchasing them with virtual currencies using a game account, or various other forms. By buying these, you're basically calling these prepayments or services offered in the game. Maybe used solely in the game. And may not be withdrawn at any time, redeemable for cash or other currencies. You're going to get these rewards, so you can earn and accumulate rewards. And there's going to be obviously some legal stuff around that. Right, secondary market. So this is a key bit of what a blockchain is about. So if expressly authorized by Mythical, the game, the laws and the regulations of the state, country or other jurisdiction which you require to access the game. Blankos, so there may be some issues about some countries. If you're in some countries, you might not be able to. You shouldn't be able to access these things anyway. Because Mythical are a US company, so if you're probably in Iran, you're probably not legally allowed to access the game, or in North Korea or places where there are embargoes. But otherwise, Blankos assets may be subsequently bought and sold in Mythical approved or sanctioned secondary markets. So this is obviously Blankos will have its own market, but there could be over time other markets that may sort of spring up that are not run by Mythical games. So there's kind of rules around that sort of stuff, and there'll be some legal stuff that you agree that Mythical is authorized and appointed to act as your agent for receiving payments. So obviously Mythical are going to be handling the transactions if it's through their own marketplace, and they need to be kind of clear that if in terms of US laws and there's kind of weird things like I guess money laundering would be one. Money transfers are a weird big thing in the States, so they need to have legal stuff around that. So you need to agree that Mythical are allowed to handle your sort of payments. Resale. Mythical does not generally control any transactions in secondary markets. So again, this is sort of a weird thing where, because of blockchain, it's sort of to some degree anyone can set up their own market. So even though Mythical creates these NFTs based on their own sort of smart contract code, other people can build kind of marketplaces around that, and obviously they don't want to be liable for stuff that happens not on marketplaces that they own. They do not provide any of the payment processing services, PayPal, Hyperwallet, etc. We're going to have a bit of shouty stuff coming up here. Okay, each time you sell a Blankos asset in a secondary marketplace, Mythical will collect a percentage commission on the total transaction value. Interesting, in the terms and conditions doesn't say what that percentage is. I don't actually know what that percentage is actually. Normally it's around sort of 5%-ish, sometimes as high as 10%, sometimes lower than that. This is another nice one I like. You will be solely responsible to pay any of your taxes. So again, this is not something that comes up in many games because you're not allowed to sell things in the games. But if you buy a Blankos for $10 and sell it for $1,000, in pretty much everywhere in the world that would be a capital gains event, and you'd have to pay the capital gains tax on that, the difference of $990. Obviously, Mythical is not going to do your taxes for you. so this is sort of interesting again, that games have not had to deal with this. And then we get into some other sort of boring stuff. I mean, maybe a lot of it is for most people sort of boring. Blankos assets are intangible digital assets that exist only by virtue of the ownership record maintained on the Mythical blockchain and smart contracts. We have no control over and make no guarantees or promises with respect to smart contracts when deployed in secondary marketplaces. So they're saying, we're in control of the stuff we're in control of. If you're going to mess around on other marketplaces, then that's not. If it goes horribly wrong, that's not our fault. So yeah, I mean, is it worth reading this kind of stuff? I don't know. I like this one actually. So assumption of risk. The prices of blockchain digital assets are extremely volatile. Fluctuations in the price or value of other digital assets could be materially or adversely affect the value of your Blankos assets, especially in secondary marketplaces, which also may be subject to significant price volatility. Basically, if you buy something for $10, it might not be worth $10, might only be worth $1. Might be worth, someone might not even be interested in buying it. So there's all this kind of stuff. I think I've probably made my point. Another interesting one here, you affirm you are over the age of 13. The game is not intended for children under the age of 13. If you are 13 or older, but under the age of 18, blah, 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 then you agree to these terms with your parent or guardian to make sure that you understand and agree with them. So interesting stuff, I think. I don't want to overplay it. But I can imagine Mythical sitting down with a lawyer and all these kind of stuff all these things having to be sort of agreed, and games developers have not had to deal with this before, and I'm sure probably in the States there will be sort of legal attempts made to see whether these terms and conditions are actually kind of fit into US law and fit into US consumer law. And as we all know, sort of law in general is a slow-moving thing, and blockchain is a fast-moving thing, and there may be a collision between those two things. So we will wait and see. But yeah, hopefully I've not made you go to sleep. But I do think it is interesting that to a degree, this sort of shows the disruption that blockchain is happening to the game sector, where games companies are having to think very differently to what they've had to deal with before, because they're creating things of real value that can be sold outside their own ecosystem, and having to think about the legal ramifications and potentially the moral ramifications as well. So there'll be more of this, although I don't think I'm going to necessarily do more videos about the legal terms and conditions in games. Well done if you made it through. Thanks for watching. This is Blockchain Gaming World, where we really dig into the weeds of what's going on here. Please subscribe if you find this stuff interesting. But thanks for watching, and see you again soon.